On today's episode of The Gate, we'll visit a local fish fry keeping tradition alive. We will also be sitting down with Lindenwood Cinema Arts Professor Ben Scholle. We'll be talking to him about his documentaries and how film impacts his teachings. Welcome to The Gate. I'm Alex Ruger. Lent is here, which means every Friday, millions of Americans choose to not eat meat, eating fish instead to practice the Catholic religion. But you do not have to be Catholic to join in on the fun. Fish fries everywhere have long lines and good food. Today, we visit the best local fish fry here in St. Charles. Churches across the country serve up crispy fish, warm sides, and a sense of community. St. Peter's Catholic Church in St. Charles is keeping the tradition alive right here in the heart of our community. Located near historic Main Street, St. Charles, the St. Peter's Catholic Church is offering a dine-in and carry-out fish fry from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. on Fridays at the Parish Center. Visitors and community members can enjoy their famous coleslaw, homemade cornbread, and diced tomatoes with their fish. Choose from fish fry classics like cod or try something new like frog legs.
I was raised grade school here, 8 grades, 2 years of high school, and been volunteering probably for the last 15, 20 years. It's just a fun bunch of guys. Most of us are retired. Myself, I'm 85. We keep track of the number of trays of catfish that we bred, and each tray, before it goes in the fryer, there's 16 catfish in there. So if we do 10 trays, that's 160 fish. This is a Lenten thing, 6 weeks before Easter, so we do this every Friday during Lent. And then in the fall of the year, we have a sausage dinner or supper, and that's usually around the first weekend in November.
After dinner, enjoy other fish fry festivities like the quilt raffle, with all proceeds going back to the parish. St. Peter's Catholic Church is located at 221 First Capitol Drive in St. Charles. The fish fry will run every Friday through April 18th from 4 to 7 p.m. Coming up after the break, we will sit down with Professor Ben Scholle and delve into his work as a documentary filmmaker.
The College of Arts and Humanities at Lindenwood University truly is the best. Real experience, real success is something that I still use to this day when talking about Lindenwood.
Welcome back to The Gate. Today, we have a very special guest with us. Ben Scholle is a professor from the College of Arts and Humanities that has been teaching at Lindenwood for 23 years. But outside of Lindenwood, he also creates documentaries about various issues in St. Louis community. Thank you so much for joining us today. So, being a professor of cinema art sounds very interesting, actually. So, could you describe the type of work you like to do?
So, in my professional sort of practice, like in the kind of production I do, I've done a lot of stuff. I feel like I've kind of dabbled in a lot of different creative roles, but really what I've settled on the most, and I think most of my work has been documentary film.
Oh, really? Oh, that's very interesting, actually. That inspired me to the next question. So, what inspired you to pursue documentaries in filmmaking instead of narrative filmmaking, you know?
So, when I was in grad school, I did a lot of short narrative films, and in fact, I don't think I really did any documentary work, but I always sort of felt like I was building to that. I think even when I was like a kid, you know, I was interested in making documentary films, and I enjoyed watching documentaries. And honestly, a lot of it was, you know, once you finish a film program and you lose like access to all the equipment and your fellow students and all the resources that are there, it's a lot easier to make documentary films because you can do it on a lower scale with a lower budget. So I think a lot of it has to do with just the fact that, you know, I really was looking to keep on being creative, but I wanted to do it in a way that, you know, I could do while I have another job. You know, it's not like demanding all of my time, and it was also something where, you know, I could do it on a small scale, just sort of as it fit into my schedule, you know, working here at Lindenwood.
Oh, really? That sounds really cool, actually. I mean, I think we all love documentaries. So, are there any documentaries in particular that inspire you to pursue this genre of filmmaking?
You know, when I was a kid, I've always been really interested in history. So when I was a kid, I watched a lot of like PBS history documentaries and just really like kind of couldn't get enough of that stuff. But I remember when I was in undergrad, I was in a film studies class where we watched Errol Morris's The Thin Blue Line, which looking back at it now, it's almost like a proto-true crime documentary, and it's kind of a little cliched, I think, now because so many films have copied it. But at the time, I remember thinking like, wow, this is really a different way to approach. This is not like a documentary like I think of it. It was much more stylized, much more creative, but it also had a really compelling story at the heart of it. And I think that made me think about ways that you can sort of blur the lines between narrative and documentary. And I think it's why, you know, I feel like a lot of people who make documentaries don't even classify themselves just as documentary filmmakers. They're really just more filmmakers and storytellers.
Oh, really? Cool. So can you tell us about some of your favorite projects, you're working on, like in general?
Yeah, I mean, the films that I've done here, you know, since I've been at Lindenwood, a lot of things have come to me because I'm here, you know. So there was one film that I did right after I got hired at Lindenwood that an alum came looking for help with something that he wanted to edit, and he showed me the footage, and he asked if I would partner with him, and I was like, yeah, definitely. Like, this is really like crazy stuff. I'd like to be a part of that project. And even, you know, I think just sort of being here, being in the community, like connecting with alumni, I feel like there's this whole network of people that I'm connected to. And a lot of times it's just projects that are out there. And I think one of the nice things about teaching is that I don't necessarily have to do stuff that's going to pay the bills, right? I've got a day job. I've got something that's like my main focus. And if I'm going to take on a creative project, you know, it's probably going to take multiple years because I have to do it like, you know, in the gaps between all the obligations that go along with teaching. But at the same time, it's great because I can choose something that I'm actually interested in and I care about. And so, you know, I can be motivated by the story and not necessarily have to worry about whether it's going to have like commercial appeal because it's not the way that I'm paying my bills.
Yeah, I think we all have a story to tell, and you know, this kind of filmmaking is the best way to share it. So, let's think a topic. After many years working at Lindenwood, how has your academic journey shaped your point of view of, you know, filmmaking?
So I think it's interesting. Like when I finished grad school, I remember thinking, okay, you know, I have this degree that I can teach with, but I want to look at working in production. And I remember I went to a job fair. And at the job fair, it was like a film and video job fair, and they were looking at my resume and they said, well, what do you do? Like, you know, you've got experience as an editor, it looks like you've got a lot of work that you've done on set doing sound, you've got some cinematography, so what are you? Like, we need to know what you are in order to hire you. And I kind of like stopped and I thought, I don't want to say, like, I don't want to commit. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want to do all of those things. I want to edit, I want to keep doing sound, I want to keep doing cinematography, I want to keep on directing. And I realized that to do that, I kind of had to do all that myself. And I think I also found when I started here, the best thing about teaching is that you get to do all the things, right? Like, I get to teach all of that stuff. I love teaching intro video production because I get to teach every single piece of the production process at a basic level, and I don't necessarily have to, like, you know, decide what I want to be when I grow up because I can be all the things a little bit. And so for me, documentary is a great expression of that. I really love the way that it allows students and allows me to incorporate like all the parts of the production process into something that you can really have ownership of and control over. And I also think that documentary it's like kind of an empathy machine. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a really great way of telling a story in a way that the audience can connect with real people. And I think one of the great things about doing documentary in an academic setting is that it's a way for students to connect with people outside the program, outside the school, in the community, in a way that they might not be able to do otherwise.
That sounds very cool, actually, Ben, to be honest. Thank you so much, Ben, for your time. Really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you on the next episode of The Gate. Thank you.